Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, interesting stuff. Heavyweight boxing great and legend George Foreman has come out and had a couple of quotes and things to say about Deontay Wilder. He, pretty much gave Wilder a hell of a lot of credit and credited his punching power. He even went as far as to say that he punches harder with the right hand than Foreman did. So big praise from arguably the biggest puncher in boxing history, in George Foreman. And then he went on to say that Anthony Joshua and Wilder would be the biggest fight in the history of heavyweight boxing, if it ever happened. So I'll read you guys a quote verbatim. Here's what he said about Deontay Wilder in his knockout against Brazil and just his power. He said, I quote, "He hit Brazil so hard like we did back in the day. He hit him so hard that I ran and went under my bed. My wife asked me, 'Where are you going?' And I said, 'I don't want him to come after me.' That's a puncher, a real live puncher. It's hard to say if Wilder is the biggest puncher of all time. Joe Louis was the biggest knuckle cruncher there is. Wilder is developing that kind of power. He's hitting a lot harder than I did with the right hand, that's for certain. In my day, with that right hand that he throws, I'd never seen that before. That right hand is powerful, and he could have probably knocked out anyone at any time in the heavyweight division. It don't matter if it was George Foreman, Mike Tyson, Joe Frazier, anyone could have gotten it from him. So just massive, massive props from George Foreman. And I think, look, a lot of times I make these videos about Wilder, and people want to call me a Wilder hater. And I've been saying, I said it in my video that got like 15,000 views, the one about Joshua being the champion of America, and me recognizing the champion of America, not Wilder. In that same video where people were commenting crazy things to me, I went out of my way to say that this guy is becoming one of the all-time great punchers before our very eyes. And you see one of the all-time great punchers in box history, recognizing that. So just big credit from George Foreman, and I think that's a testament to where Wilder is and where he's heading, as one of boxing's elite punchers of all time. Just an absolutely fantastic fighter, a great puncher, and someone who's must-see TV anytime he steps in the ring with any level of opposition. Massive respect goes out to Wilder. But here's what he said about the Joshua Wilder fight. He said, I quote, "If Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder fight, it would be the biggest heavyweight fight of all time, bigger than anything if they actually fought." Now, that's a massive claim. I could see what he's saying, because in this day and age, and I've been saying this in my videos for quite some time now. If Joshua and Wilder do fight anytime soon, it will be the first fight for undisputed, the first real deal mega heavyweight fight in the social media era, and we've never really experienced that. It'll be uncharted territory and new waters for the sport of boxing. So, it would be massive, and Wilder's only getting bigger here in America and abroad. Joshua's only getting bigger, and he's making his American debut next week, which, as I've said many times, I think will be, when it rolls around, it'll be one of the biggest and best atmospheres this country has seen for a heavyweight boxing event in quite some time. But to kind of go back to what he was saying about Wilder the puncher, Wilder the puncher is amazing to watch. He is a puncher at heavyweight the way Tommy Hearns was at welterweight. It's just amazing stuff we're seeing from Wilder. When we talk about all the knockouts he's delivered us, from Kelvin Price, and that was who I was trying to talk about in the last video. Kelvin Price, that was a devastating knockout. Kelvin Price, Artur Spilka, Sergey Liakovic, we had him ceasing on the ground. Stavern 2, Brazil, even the Ortiz fight. Just that's 6 right. That's off the top of my head. That's off the top of my head. 6 highlight reel, iconic stoppages in his career. And then you had the Fury fight, which really a lot of people thought was a stoppage. It was damn near a stoppage. So you're talking about a guy who's put everybody's ever fought on his ass. He gives you your money's worth, and he brings the pain. And I love watching Wilder fight, because anytime he fights, there's gonna be something exciting is bound to happen when he fights. So I love watching the fight. I just wish that he was a lot quicker to get in the ring with Joshua. Hopefully it still happens, because I think there's a chance for what Foreman is saying in the latter part of his quotes to be true, that this could be the biggest fight in heavyweight history. It's a big possibility that can happen, because there's never been a massive fight like this in the heavyweight division in the social media era. And oftentimes we say that as the heavyweight division goes, boxing goes, as far as the popularity of it and how it's going around the world, because this is boxing's glamour division. All the biggest names in the history of boxing were in this division. Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, George Foreman, Lennox Lewis, Those guys who are global superstars, they all came from the heavyweight division. Riddick Bowe as well, you know, massive names came from the heavyweight division. And you know, this is, as far as the history of it, as far as the history of this division, you know, there is no division in the history of boxing with a deeper and more rich history than this division right here. And it's the division, as far as boxing history goes, that I study the most. It's the one I like the most, and it's the one that I can sit here and talk heavyweight boxing for hours with you. But yeah, you know, I think it says a lot about where Wilder has come to when you get a guy like George Foreman, you know, a fighter that, as far as heavyweights go, is definitely, without a doubt, a top 10 heavyweight, no doubt about it. You know, we're talking about a man who was, you know, the lineal heavyweight champion. We're talking about a man that knocked out Joe Frazier in his prime within 2-3 rounds. We're talking about a man that later on in his second career will go on to become the oldest champion at the time in the history of boxing. He's still the oldest heavyweight champion of all time, but he was the oldest champion in boxing history until Bernard Hopkins broke that record. You know, we're talking about a man that, in terms of, if you even want to talk about money and endorsements, he had the biggest money and endorsement that ever was in boxing, and that's the George Foreman Grill, which he sold a stake in the George Foreman Grill for $250 million. So he did quite well for himself. And the funny thing was, I did an interview years ago, and it's probably one of my top 10 favorite interviews that I've done in boxing. It didn't get a lot of views as much as my other interviews, but in terms of my favorite interviews, I did an interview a couple years ago with former heavyweight contender in Charlotte, North Carolina's very own Calvin the Boxing Banker Brock. He was a tough contender in the mid-2000s. You know, a lot of people may remember him for his fight with Vladimir Klitschko at Madison Square Garden, where he got stopped in like the 7th or 8th round. He also had the knockout of the year in 2006 when he knocked out Zuri Lawrence. But Calvin Brock, I was talking to him about Wilder all those years ago, and Wilder at that time was just coming off his win against Artur Szpilka, and you know, he was talking about Wilder in a very high manner and a high, you know, way back then, saying that he actually reminded him of George Foreman, and he laid out the parallels between the two about how Foreman picked up boxing later on in his life, won a gold medal. Wilder picked up boxing later on in his life, won a bronze medal, and then how they were both great punchers themselves. So, you know, just great stuff from that interview, and you guys will see that right here. I'll leave that for you here. It was just great stuff from Calvin Brock. But yeah, Deontay Wilder's in a great position, you know, because whether I like it or not, you know, the guy his value with every win he gets, and every impressive win he gets, his value is increasing, and he's gonna get, you know, a lot of, when this fight does happen, I think he's gonna get paid a lot more than they started off negotiating at, because, you know, he betted on himself, and fair play to him. He's entitled to do that. But as a boxing fan, it frustrates me because literally all it takes is on the night, you know, someone to upset him or knock him out, and that fight's no more. And same thing for Joshua. All it takes is Andy Ruiz to hit him with a bomb come, you know, next weekend, and you know, then all of a sudden there's no fight no more, and it's not as big as it would have been if they would have made the fight this year. So that's the news. George Foreman compliments Deontay Wilder on being one of the greatest punchers of all time, and then goes on to say that Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder would be the biggest heavyweight fight of all time, bigger than anything. So you guys let me know what you think in the comments down below. Make sure you smash that like button. You know, make sure you hit that like button, guys, because when you hit that like button, it lets YouTube know that you're really feeling the content I'm delivering you guys on True School Sports, that you love this video, and it makes it more visible to those searching for topics similar to this. So if you select what I'm doing, smash that like button, help your boy BT out, subscribe as well. And yeah, it's just do all that good stuff, and keep supporting True School Sports, because when you support True School Sports, you know, you're supporting the real deal, nitty-gritty boxing talk. We've been doing it for years here. So yeah, leave your comments down below. Take the time to subscribe, like I say in every single one of these videos. You can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.